welcome to my podcast. My podcast is Knitting on My Mind, and my name is Ida. I am a Swedish knitting expat living in Vienna, Austria. I moved here about 18 years ago with my family of 5 people. We have three children. They were at the time 9, 7 and 3. And we moved here because of my husband's work. Now our kids are grown up. 2 live in Sweden. They have studied there and they're working there. And one of our children is now still living with us here in Vienna. I work as a kindergarten and preschool teacher in the Swedish School of Vienna. We have 2 groups, bilingual groups, and I am one of the Swedish-speaking teachers in our school, in our preschool. You can find me on social media, on Instagram as Knitting on My Mind, and on Facebook as Knitting on My Mind. I'm not very often on Facebook. And I also have a Ravelry page, Knitting on My Mind, and on YouTube. My channel is Knitting on My Mind. I'm so glad to see you, and that you want to come along and watch my podcast. And we're now diving right into my knitting, what I am wearing, what I have finished since my last podcast, what I am knitting on, and what I want to knit on. And then I will also add some footage from the thermal bath that my husband and I visited last weekend in Burgenland. It's called St. Martin's Therme. And I will also try to add a little bit of footage from our Sunday walk with our boys, because our oldest son is visiting us from Sweden right now, and the weather is fantastic out today. So we took a little walk, and I brought my camera, and then you will also see a little footage of the skyline of Vienna. So I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee. No, not my coffee. I have tea in here. I have Swedish black tea, as a matter of fact, or tea bought in Sweden, and it is my Little Prince mug. The Little Prince is one of my favorite books. I bought this mug in. I think I actually bought it on the airport in Lyon when we visited my son. My oldest son studied there for half a year, and I bought this mug then. Cheers. Let's dive right into what I'm wearing. I am wearing Cloris Shawl. This is the pattern, and as you can see, it has been well used. I have made three of these, 2 for me and 1 for my daughter. I got this pattern in a store called Sommerfuglen in Copenhagen in Denmark a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago or something. And I also got the yarn, which is called Heaven's Hand Wool Classic. It's 200 meters per 100 grams, and it's said to use 300 grams. So the first one and it's knitted on 5 millimeter needles. The first one I made was this red one, and then I used 300 meters, or 3 balls, and I thought it was a little bit small. It wasn't really large enough for me. So for the pink one I bought 4 skeins of yarn, so that will make 400 meters of yarn. No, wait a second, I'm lying. It says 300 grams, it's 400 grams. This is 300 grams and this is 400 grams, and 100 gram, it's 200 meters per 100 grams. So it's 4 times 2, so it's 800 meters in this one and 600 meters in this one. And it's a really easy knit. I will show you here, because it is only knit stitches back and forth, and the border is created by short rows, and they can be a little bit tricky first if you're not a experienced knitter. I thought it was a little bit hard at the beginning, but when I got the hang of it, it's no problem at all. I can really recommend this knit, and it's by Nina Soglin, and I will put the name of her company nysta.se down in the notes below, so you can see it. That's what I'm wearing today. And my daughter, for my daughter, I made a grey one. It was actually, I was going to make it for me, but she saw it and she said, "Oh, Mom, I really love that." So of course she got it for Christmas that year. I have a very soft spot for when somebody says, "Oh, Mom, I really like this one. Can I have one of them?" And then, you know. But the last one was the pink one, and that I kept for myself. That is what I'm wearing. Now, what have I finished? I have finished, first of all, I will want to show you the socks. As I told you in a previous episode, I have made myself a challenge to make 12 pair of socks. I did finish one pair in January, and these ones are the February socks that are finished now, and they look like this. They are out of a yarn from Herbstblattregina. Whoops, sorry. I will get out the band from the skein. Her company is Herbstblattregina. This orange yarn, and it's called Candy Corner, and it's 80% merino extra fine wool and 20% polyamide, and it's actually super wash. It's 400 meters per 100 grams, and the stripes are different actually on the two socks. They are from Minis of her advent calendar that I had one year, and they are called All is Bright and In the Christmas Bakery. And the yarn is called Hazel Soft Sock Fingering Weight yarn. And of course I knitted them on my Chiago lace 2.5 millimeter, 100 centimeters, circular needle, 2 at a time, magic loop. That's my go-to knit technique for my socks. I wanted to tell you something about the toe, because I wasn't really happy with the regular toe that I make, so I wanted to make a new toe with a new technique on these ones, and I bought a book that I have read about and heard about on social media. It's called Sock Architecture by Lara Neal, and the publisher is Cooperative Press, Partners in Publishing. This is what it looks like, and it says on the back it has 17 top down toes, 68 top down heels, 70 toe up toes, and 26 toe up heels. And it has very nice descriptions, pictures. I can show you here maybe. And very instructive pictures. Here, for example, you can see some of the pictures. And I picked the so-called round toe. And I usually take in on each side on my toes when I make them, but this one worked like you knit 6 stitches and then you knit 2 together, knit 6, 2 together, knit 6, 2 together, then you knit 5 rows, and then you knit and then you knit 5, 2 together, 5, 2 together, 5, 2 together, and so on until you only have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 together, and then you're finished. So it's a little bit like a hat almost. But I really like this one. It looks like this in the picture. And I'm certainly going to make that one again. For the and I really enjoyed this book. It also takes up a little bit of history about sock knitting and knitting in general. So I can recommend this if you knit a lot of socks and want to do a little bit different styles of toes and heels. And for the heel, I use my go-to heel flap and gusset heel. I like this one with it's almost double here, so I like that one. And for the cuffs, I usually always make 1x1 rib. That has a little tea out of my mug there. I finished one more thing. And I told you last time about a fair that I went to in Sweden, and there I visited the booth of the Craft Association of Sweden. It's an association to preserve Swedish craft and design, and it's over, I think it's like 150 years old. I think it is 150 years old. And I wasn't supposed to buy any yarn or anything at the fair because I have so much yarn here. But I couldn't resist this yarn. It's from Yllet. It's called Ullgarn Extra 2. It's 200 meter per 100 grams. And it's spun by Hjellholts Ullspinneri from Gotlandic wool and Falkland merino. It's a mixture, and the spinnery is in Norway, actually. In Norway or Denmark? No, Denmark, I think. Anyway, this is the color of the yarn. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's spun also. It's spun. It's colored on gray yarn. She told me, the lady in the booth, and the pattern is a very easy triangular shawl with this beautiful lace border at the end. It will be pretty small, I think, for me, but then I can use it like this. I was thinking, like going like this when it's really cold out. I also like this style to wear this scarf. I will block it, and then maybe it will stretch a little bit. I'll tell you about that next time I podcast. But I'm happy with the knit. It was really quick because it's on 5mm. I knitted it on 5mm circular needles. The olive wood needles, and it was just a regular paper pattern. I don't know if it is on Ravelry. I will check that out and see if it is on Ravelry. I can give you a link below. That's all I have finished since I talked last. And now I want to go into the segment what I'm knitting on. And I will start with my Icelandic sweater, of course. That is so large that I can't really keep it in one of my self-made knitting bags. I have it in one of those really big canvas bags that says "Keep Knitting," that I bought in Gothenburg when we were there visiting our other son, who was in Gothenburg last winter semester. Anyway, I will show you the pattern. I know that people that have seen my other episodes already know this pattern, but there might be somebody new who would like to know. It's from the ebook that I bought on Ravelry called Modern Lopi by Lars Reins. And this is also the design that I'm using. It's called Asymptot. And we went to Iceland almost 2 years ago now, and we bought the yarn there. And it's grey, as in the book, but my husband chose brown and beige and red for the pattern. And I have started on the yoke here. I'm on the 5th row of the yoke, and I'm starting now to enjoy it. Actually, I haven't been doing fair eye knitting for a while, so I was a little bit rusty. And this is the beginning of the row. It's a little stitch marker with the map of Iceland. So I have to get going on this one because it's supposed to be finished until Easter. But I love Letlopi. It's knitted out of Letlopi, my favorite Icelandic yarn, which is the classic yarn to make. Oops. Oh, the lighting is terrible today. And I'm knitting on 5.5 millimeters, and it has 50 grams. It has approximately 100 meters. It's very rustic. Okay, sweater, you have to go over here. That's what I'm knitting on. Then I'm knitting on another little sweater or jacket, actually, out of this book, which is called Baby Stickning på stickor 3, so baby knitting on needles number 3 by Lene Holme Samsø. It's a Danish book, and it's fantastic. It has fantastic knits. I just finished this little tunic. I made 2 of them for our little baby girls, the twins that were born in January. And now I'm knitting on the little jacket for my nephew's little baby. This one down here. Kofta med resårkant. It's very easy. It's also knitted only with knit stitches, and I am pretty far. I have finished the body and the arm here, and I have put in 2 of the buttons already. I'm putting in them with green wool from a homespun house, actually. And the wool for the jacket is Lang yarns, merino 150. Merino 150. It's superwash, 150 meters per 50 grams. It's good with superwash for babies or small children, because then you can throw it into a washing machine easily. For myself, I don't really like superwash yarns, but here is the yarn that I'm using for the buttons. I don't know the name of it anymore. Oops, my storage in my iPhone was full, so I had to delete some things so I could go on. Anyway, I was at this yarn, which was homespun house that I'm using for the buttons on the little jacket for Leo. But I think that was finished now. I keep it in my bag that I made by myself. I like to make my own bags, my project bags. This is out of some scrap material, and it's a drawstring bag. So that was the little jacket for Leo, and now I'm gonna go on with what I'm working on. I also had to take off my shawl because it was much too warm in here. And outside, the planes that are landing in Vienna today, they are actually passing over our hill here, so I can't really have my window open. Anyway, what do we have more? What am I working on also? As I talked to you about the sock challenge that I made for myself, I decided also that it's not only new socks, I can also finish some that I'm working on. And last year at this time I started a pair of socks that a lot of people are knitting now, and I only finished one, so I thought I should finish the second one, and that could be my March sock. And it's gonna have to go fast because now we don't have so many days of March left. And I have finished one, and I have it here. It's Longing for Gotland by Sofia Kammerborn. You can find the pattern on Ravelry. It's a beautiful pattern, and I'm knitting this out of a yarn called Super Socks by Lang Yarns, and it's actually a superwash also, but it's only wool. I thought, no, it's superwash. I'm working it on this is the label looks like Lang Yarn Super Socks. It's fingering weight, and I use 2.5 knitting needle. And for the light green, I use Mylan White Merino, which is also fingering weight, 400 meters per 100 grams. These three yarns I use together. There you go. And this pattern you can find on Ravelry in Sofia Kammerborn's Ravelry store. I will link to that below. And I keep it in my cute little bag that I bought in Stockholm at Makeri 14 with some yarn and knitting needles on it. Longing for Gotland. This is my new sock project. I can also show you what the pattern looks like. In Swedish it's called Längtan till Gotland. Beautiful, don't you think? And then I am working on a small project that I keep in my Moomin bag. It was the first bag that I made, and it turned out a little bit small. And this pattern is called, I will get it for you here on my iPad. It is called Northeasterly by Skanigan's Melissa Alexander Loomis. She says, a new take on a sock yarn blanket with a fun modern look and the ability to use as much or as little of your fingering and DK weight, mini skeins and scraps. And this is what it looks like on Ravelry. And it's a really nice knit. And I also have connected this to a knit along that is held by Britt Arnhild. Britt Arnhild's podcast on YouTube, Britt Arnhild on YouTube, I think it is called, her channel, where she's knitting in the rainbow colors in the weeks of Lent, the time before Easter. From it's called Lent. The 7 weeks before Easter is called Lent, and she has started a rainbow knit along. And it's actually, she's knitting a shawl, but I didn't want to start another shawl because I already have my project. So I decided I will knit in rainbow colors, but I will add it to my northeasterly blanket. So you can see here I started out here, and then when we came to Lent, I started with the first week is red, and the second week was now orange, and I am going to start with yellow for next week. And this is also scraps from, or mini skeins from Helpsblatt Regina. and it's called Glitter and Gold. It's really cute. And I keep that here in my Moomin bag, and my knitting needles are Chiago's DPNs, and I keep them in my little cozy here. That's really good. And I'm just knitting as much as I have time for. It's just it will be a fun reminder of the Lent period of 2019. And then the last thing that I am knitting on right now is a new project, which is called the Ryschenloop. I keep it in this Dala horse bag. It's my sock size bag with the little snaps. I like it when it says click, and then you can open it like this and fold it down so it stands up really well, and you can keep your wool in here. And the pattern is called Ryschenloop. You can see a picture here, and it's from a company called Woolrausch, which is unfortunately the store is closing now. The designer is called Monica Edelpress, and the wools that I'm using is one skein of Malabrigo Arroyo, 100 grams, 306 meters, and one ball of Panilla Peruvian Highland wool, 50 grams, 175 meters, and one ball of Kid Palette Bluebell, Kid Palette at least. It's 125 meters on 25 grams, and it's from Sholana. And these three colors are going to make this loop. And I will show you. I have started a little bit. You start with an I-cord. You just knit 300 something rows with a 4 stitched I-cord, and then you pick up stitches around and you start knitting in brioche technique. So you can see the difference here. And it's really nice. I think you call it brioche, we call it patent. It's going to be really nice. I will keep you posted on how it goes with that one. And I also, when I was there, because I really loved her store, the yarns that she had, I also bought another combination of the same yarns, the Malabrigo, the Panilla, and the Sholana wool. And this is the Malabrigo Arroyo. So beautiful. It's green and yellow and dark red. And I'm going to combine that with the blue Panilla and the blue mohair wool to make another loop. And I think that's going to look really nice. That's going to go very nice with my coat, my winter coat. Okay, I think that was what I wanted to show you today from knitting. I also wanted to want to share with you some footage of from my from our thermal bath visit, which I will insert at the end, and some of the videos from our Sunday walk today with our boys, so you can also see a little bit of the beautiful views of Vienna from a hill looking over Vienna, and a little bit of the Vienna woods, which I also filmed. And I hope you will enjoy that. But before we do that, I want to show you a really nice magazine that I have started to buy. This is the first issue, actually. It was came out in October, and it's a Swedish lady who is doing this. She's called Johanna Lendin, is the editor for the magazine, and it's called Stickat och sånt. And in the first issue from October, she published a beautiful pattern of mittens, rose mittens, and it's fun because I actually made these about 20 years ago for my daughter. And she, Johanna Lendin, who is Born to Knit on Instagram, is a fantastic designer of hats and mittens in Fair Isle technique, and she has modernized this pattern to fit modern wool. The wool that I used 20 years ago is not available anymore. And here you can see how the hat looks that she made for a pattern for in the same wool. And she presents a lot of really nice designs, and she also presents different people in the knitting and crochet world. She's also, one of the patterns in here is from Ivar Asplund's book that I also talked about in another episode of my podcast, Sticka flätor, which will be coming out in English, also published in English in September. Also, I talk about that in my first or second episode, I'm not sure. I've made so many episodes, only 2. She also gives you tips on podcasts to listen to, and different. Here is, for example, also crochet patterns. And in the second issue that I just got with a mail from Sweden, because I have to have it sent to my daughter because you can't send it to Austria from Sweden, there is a t-shirt, and this pattern is by Minette Hartvich, and the wool is actually cotton. It's Bonnie by Permin, 100% cotton, but I'm thinking of trying to knit it in hemp, I think it is, yeah, which is more sustainable than cotton. In this issue there is actually an article about how to craft, how we can craft sustainable, which is actually not a very easy issue. I would just like to raise the issue because I think it's important that we start thinking about what is actually in the wool that we are using, and is it sustainable? Should we use these wools, or can we maybe convert it into another yarn? For example, instead of knitting in cotton, maybe hemp or viscose, which is a fiber or a yarn made out of wood. Because I think it's important that many of us like to be in nature, and we really appreciate the nature, and we appreciate the sheep that gives us the wool. So we should be a little bit more conscious about what material we use. And I, for myself, is trying to avoid as much plastic as possible, because I think it's terrible that when we wash garments with plastic, there are those microplastics that get loose from the material, and they are washed out in the sea, and they are eaten by small animals that then are eaten by the fish, which we then eat, and we get poisoned from the food that we are eating. And therefore I try to avoid it now, although I know that socks that are made out of only wool will not, they will break easier. So in socks, for example, I do use mixed yarns, but I try for other garments, I try to use wool that is not treated with some kind of plastic or acrylic. That's what I'm doing. I'm not saying that everybody has to do it, but I think it is a very important issue to raise, and that everybody should think about it and try to be conscious about what they knit with. Well, that was a little bit rambling about my knitting and my life, and a little bit about my thoughts. And I was accompanied by the little prince today, and because of that I would like to read to you my favorite quote from the book The Little Prince, which is a very well-known quote. It's actually on here, part of it actually is on here also. But I'm not very good at French, so I'm not going to read it to you in French. In English it goes like this. And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And with that, I would like to thank you all that have subscribed to my channel. It makes me really happy to see that a couple of you have pressed the subscribe button, and some of you have even given me a couple of comments under my first and second episode. I'm very glad to see that, and it makes me happy that you enjoy watching my podcast. And I will try to podcast every second or every third week approximately, in accordance to how my life is going and what I have to show you, because I want to have something to show you when I podcast. And I hope until I see you again that you have a nice time, and that you enjoy your knitting. And I hope also that you will enjoy the videos from Vienna and from the thermal bath. And I will see you again next time. Bye from Vienna. Out walking on the former sea level in Austria, in Burgenland, close to Neusiedler See.